Hello everyone. Today we're going to be taking a look at Burnt Sienna. Some people use different pigments for it and we're going to see how they compare from brand to brand. So stay tuned and we'll get started. I'll get the swatch sheet going. And we got the sheet all set up for our color swatches. It's on Saunders Waterford hot press paper and I'll be using a number 8 Escoda Perla brush. It's my favorite swatching brush. So let's go ahead with the first palette, and we got Della Magna Burnt Sienna PBR7. There are a couple with different pigment numbers, that's why I put them in. Really pretty, very smooth. Our next is Holbein. The Della Magna is much redder than the Holbein. It's always personal preference whether or not you like a burnt sienna that's a little more brown or a little more red. I hope these videos help you when you're going to pick your colors. The pigment numbers do tell us something, but sometimes the way that they process the pigments are completely different. We have Old Holland PBR7. This one is a lot redder as well. Then we're going into Azzaro PBR7. And this is a very brown one. I think the most brown out of them so far. Our next up is M. Graham. And PBR7. Oops. There's a lot of palettes surrounding me, so please excuse if you can hear a little bit of the This one is also leaning brown, but not quite as brown as the Azzaro one. It does have more red to it. You can see how many strokes it takes me also to get that heavy duty mass tone up there. I try and do about 3 passes so that I get a full depth of color and the lightest wash at the very bottom from the first. Winsor & Newton is PR 101. Oh, and you can see how much oranger this one is coming out compared to the other ones. And I'm looking into these certain colors because of I've been going through what pigments and colors Beatrix Potter used, and this is the start of my investigative work into her colors and comparing different brands so that we can find, or I can find, modern day pigments to match up to those colors, and then we can take a look at what she used and what's available in the modern pigments so that they're readily available if you wanted to play around with that. Michael Harding, PR 101 as well. They are pretty similar in color. And the way that they lay down. Very vivid. So it really depends on what you want out of a burnt sienna as far as these comparisons go. And like I said, I'm doing these also so that I can maybe match up Beatrix Potter's colors to what she used or said she used and see what I can come up with there. This is A Gallo, PBR 7. It's a very brown one, tiny bit of warmth or red to it, not a crazy amount. And now we're going into Sennelier, PBR 7. It's just amazing how different they look. Even that most of them have the same pigment, PBR 7. This one's coming out a lot lighter. It's beautiful. It's just a lot lighter in comparison to a lot of the other ones. Then we have Schminke. And this is a mixed one, PR101 and PBK9. Kind of different there. Much redder, like the other PR101s. It does feel like this one would go a little darker, although the Michael Harding is pretty rich, pretty dark. Yeah, I'd say it's about the same. It's pretty close to those two other ones. Maybe could get a little bit deeper. This is the Rububla, and I know I'm probably saying that completely wrong. They make some wonderful pigments, and they have some historical pigments too. And PBR7, very brown one. This looks a lot like M. Graham. It's slightly more grainy, I would say. Has a little more texture to it. And it's a little bit, it's not as easy to pick up on the brush. Really pretty brown. Now we have Kramer, PBR7. This is also a very brown one. And this has a little bit more texture to it too. Can get quite dark. Oh, I'm liking that. Almost a landslide. Almost had a landslide of palettes there. They were starting to slip away. And now we have Roman Schmal, Quinacridone, Burnt Sienna. And I know Roman Schmal, I think, has a couple of Burnt Siennas, but this is the one that I have. And that's P048. I mean, really, with the variety here, you could have 3 Burnt Siennas on your palette and not have the same color at all. Which is kind of, you know, it's scary because when you're out there picking colors and you don't want to waste money on having too many of the same thing or colors that look too different and not exactly what you wanted to buy. These are very varied. So we'll go ahead and wait for them to dry and take a look closer. All of the swatches are dry now, and you can definitely see how these have more of a texture effect to them. Definitely over here we have a lot more of the orange sided ones. The Winsor Newton, Michael Harding, and Roman Schmal are definitely more orange. And then we have a lot of browns over here. Some of them a little bit warmer, some of them a little bit cooler than others. I'd say the Rubevo and the Isaro are very cool, as well as the Kramer and the M. Graham. And all of these, I'd say, are within that brownie reddy range, but lean more brown than they do red. And these three definitely lean a lot more orange, with I'd say the Roman Schmal and the Winsor & Newton leading the most orange. So I hope this helps in your deciding on which you're going to pick, and I hope you keep joining me in our color swatching endeavors, and we'll paint some pictures and do a whole bunch more here. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.